Are they safe? What do they have to offer? Why are they so popular? This time, On the Inside takes on Toyota. Welcome to On the Inside. I'm Mike Rowe. This program is about information, about looking for it, finding it, and passing it on to you. Now, our topic today is Toyota. What is it with these cars? Next time you're out on the street, look around. It seems like every third or fourth car is a Toyota. So we wondered why Toyota models consistently rank in the top 10 of America's favorite cars. In fact, they tell us that the Camry is the #1 selling car in America. So I went to a local dealership to find out why. They just gave me some keys and said, see for yourself. So now I've got a brand new Camry and a lot of questions.
You may be surprised to know that Toyota now is the 4th largest automaker in the U.S., and more than 60% of Toyota vehicles sold in the U.S. are built in North American plants. That's from 7 plants in 5 states. Toyota Motor Manufacturing, Kentucky, in Georgetown, is Toyota's largest North American plant, producing Camry and Avalon sedans, the new Sienna minivan, and V6 and 4-cylinder engines with a new engine plant in West Virginia on the way. Toyota projects a production record of 1.2 million vehicles a year in their North American plants and have just recently produced the 5 millionth North American vehicle.
Well, we'll start our little fact-finding adventure right here in San Luis Obispo. From here, we'll travel south, stopping in Santa Maria, Lompoc, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and finally, Oxnard. This whole area is known as the Gold Coast.
On our way to the first stop, one of the crew noticed that we weren't the only ones driving in the rain. This older Toyota was right in front of us, so we decided on a little roadside interview.
So you get pretty good gas mileage in this?
This is a Tercel. It gets really good gas mileage.
Looks like you might have a few miles on it. How long have you had it?
I bought it in beginning of 91, so January 91.
So we're going back about 7-8 years now.
Yes.
Do you love it? You must. You still have it.
I like it a lot. I mean, it runs like a champ. It's got 150,000 miles almost on it, and I drive it really rough, actually, which isn't the smartest thing to do, but it somehow survives. I mean, it just runs like a top.
When I first drove into Toyota San Luis Obispo, I saw something that looked half car, half sport utility vehicle.
Is this a car or a truck, Shannon?
This is a compact sport utility vehicle, Mike.
Compact sport utility.
RAV4, it stands for Recreational Activity Vehicle.
Anything about the engine that makes it different, that sets it apart from the competition?
Absolutely. You have the engine setting on a liquid gel-filled engine mount, and that keeps it quiet on the road. Also, you have a distributorless ignition system, distributor-less, so long-term, less maintenance cost, and it's a more efficient design.
One less thing to worry about.
You're going to get a 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty on this engine, drivetrain, and transmission.
All I really need to know about this then is it's a good engine and it's essentially maintenance-free. I don't have to worry about a lot of different things.
You have dual airbags standard on every RAV4, okay? Those are Generation 2 airbags. You have any idea what Generation 2 means?
I'm still stumped on Generation 1.
Generation 2 is less force and more venting, so they collapse faster. You're not going to get hurt by your airbag. First off, notice that you have a 90-degree opening, one single solid door. You're open and easy entry right into your cargo area, okay? Nice wide open space. When the seats are folded up, we have more cargo space than a CRV.
You talk about value and you talk about fun, and you never do it without talking about safety. How come?
Safety is integrated into the RAV4. Toyota wants to have you in a safe and fun vehicle.
So here's the short story on the RAV4. RAV stands for Recreational Active Vehicle, but don't be confused. It's basically the same thing as a sport utility vehicle. It's just smaller. It's convenient. It's affordable. It is full of value, and it is full of safety, things that you would come to expect, and in fact do find with Toyota.
The Toyota RAV4. 57 cubic feet of cargo space, standard side door impact beams and dual airbags. Available with front wheel full-time 4-wheel drive and 4-wheel independent suspension. It's the ideal balance between a car and a sport utility vehicle.
What is Toyota Motorsports? In a few minutes, On the Inside goes to the races.
So we're on the 101 heading south, about 35 miles out of San Luis Obispo, headed right into Santa Maria, home of the Tri-Tip Barbecue and Broccoli and Strawberries and the PCPA Theater Fest and the Santa Maria Speedway.
Since Santa Maria is one of California's major agricultural centers, trucks just jump to mind.
Why shouldn't I buy a Ford? All my life I'm hearing about Ford trucks, and you're going to sell me a Toyota?
Well, I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy a Ford, but if you had all the facts in front of you, then you'd have to make a decision based on the facts, and I think you'd go with a Toyota by far.
Has anybody else come to that conclusion?
Lots of people come to that conclusion. What you're looking at here is a 4x4 Toyota Tacoma 4-cylinder, 2.7 liter. Now this 4x4 2.7 gives you 150 horsepower. Now if you want to get that kind of horsepower out of a Ford, you've got to go pick up a V6 3.0 liter. Basic towing capacity on this is 3,500 pounds. You step up to a V6 and a Ford Ranger, you're only getting 2,200 pounds worth of towing capacity.
How long can I expect this to run with relatively no problems?
With the proper maintenance, you can look easily at 400, 500, 600,000 miles.
So Dave, it seems reasonable to assume if you're going to buy a truck, ultimately you're going to haul something in it at some point.
Correct.
What's significant about this area?
Well, the Toyota Tacoma it got nice looks, but it's got practicality. You have a double wall bed, so if something hits up inside here, it's not going to dent the outside of your truck. You have 4 tie downs, all 4 corners, so if you need to strap something down, you can strap it down.
Right.
Tailgate down. You have the best capacity inside out of our competition. The Ford Ranger, like take for instance, this is 2.7 inches longer, 5.9 inches wider. And you can carry almost 500 more pounds in the Toyota Tacoma over the Ford Ranger.
All right, so you got 4 people in the cab basically. There is a lot of room in here.
Yeah, now the thing about this is you're front facing. Okay, now you're front facing, you have a 3-point safety harness instead of just a lap belt, which is going to make it safer for you. And then if your buddy has to get in, he can front face, whereas in our competition like the Ford Ranger, the Chevy S10, you're sitting like this, facing each other. You have about 20 inches of hip room compared to 53 inches of hip room in the Toyota Tacoma. The 4x4 Tacoma truck has 11 inches of ground clearance compared to the Ford Ranger, which is about 7.6.
How is this rated in, the car and driver magazines and all that stuff?
I think I mentioned earlier, but I may have missed it, the 4x4 magazine, 4-wheeler magazine, rated the Toyota Tacoma 4-wheeler of the year, 1998, hands down. Not one person swayed the other direction. That's even against the Nissan Frontier, the all-new Nissan Frontier, which still has lower ground clearance, has no availability of a rear differential, and does not come in a V6.
Why'd you buy this? This is yours, I guess?
This is a company vehicle. We bought it because we do a lot of hauling between Ventura and Santa Barbara, and we needed something dependable, so we got a Toyota.
What's the craziest thing you've ever hauled in here?
Craziest thing we hauled was probably a conveyor system.
A conveyor system?
That stuck about 5 feet off the back of the bed.
Did you put the little red flag on it?
Oh, of course, sure. Okay. It was a lot heavier than the truck was rated for, but I handled it no problem.
The Toyota Tacoma. Driver and passenger airbags with cutoff switch. More bedroom and horsepower than the standard Ford Ranger. The 4x4 has a super high 11 inches of ground clearance. Tacoma, the #1 selling truck in its class for 18 years.
You wouldn't buy a new car without giving it an inspection of your own, and Toyota wouldn't sell you one without doing the same thing. Look at this. Can I help?
Yeah, please do.
It's kind of fun, a Toyota with a Band-Aid, if you will. This is Jim. He's here to talk about PDI,
Delivery inspection.
Pre-delivery inspection. Now, what's the tape for?
This is to ensure that there's no damage to it on transport coming here. It could be anything from bugs to pebbles to rocks.
And on the inside, I see all sorts of stuff on the seats.
Yeah, because it does have to actually be driven onto the transport, and it has to be driven off the transport into here.
Right.
And our technicians will have to drive it back and forth. It's just to make sure it's protected from them.
What do you look for under here? Just to, again, check for any kind of structural problems?
Yeah, check for transport damage, check to see if there's anything leaking. Haven't yet found too much wrong with these cars.
No.
But they're built tough from the factory, and just in case, we take a look at it.
So, you feel pretty good about the Land Cruiser passing inspection?
Sure do.
Okay. Hey, there's a speedway here too, isn't there, in Santa Maria?
Yes.
How would this do on the track?
Oh, it'd rip. It's a V8, it's 4-wheel drive. The baddest thing out there.
Might not be the fastest, but if it catches you, it'd probably go right over you.
You bet.
Hey, look, there's a racing stripe left on the front. Would you mind if I did the honors? 1998 Toyota Land Cruiser, inspected for your approval.
For this year, Toyota will enter its third season as an engine supplier in the CART series. CART stands for Championship Auto Racing Teams Incorporated. Toyota will race against fellow engine manufacturers Ford Cosworth, Honda, and Mercedes-Benz in the world's most competitive open-wheel racing areas. Now, let's go off-road. From the Baja Desert to the 14,110-foot Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, you'll find Toyota trucks. Although the 10-minute time barrier has yet to be broken, Toyota has won the event overall with a time of 10 minutes, 4.5 seconds.
So this is Julie, and this is her 1990, what is it, an 85?
85.
Celica? So you've been driving this around now for how many years?
Since 91.
How many miles do you have on it altogether?
153,000 miles.
Would you ever drive another Toyota?
Yes.
How come?
Because I like Toyotas.
What is it about them that you like so much?
They're reliable.
So we veered off the 101. Now we're on Highway 1, bound for Lompoc. Not only is Lompoc the flower capital of the world, it's also situated near the Vandenberg Air Force Base, home to the 30th Space Wing, and, of course, Toyota of Lompoc. If I've got $14,000 or $15,000 to spend, why wouldn't I get a Civic? I hear great things about that.
Corolla has more horsepower than the Civic. You have 120 horse versus 106 horse that you have on the Civic. You also have more torque. This has 122, the Civic has 103.
Why are things like torque and horsepower important in a small car?
Well, because you want to be able to get out of the way. You want to be able to pass and get on the freeway.
Okay, I'm not a mechanic, but a lot of people watching might be. So let's take a look under the hood, and maybe you can point out some more of the differences there.
Okay.
All right then. What do we have here?
First of all, we have a 16-valve dual overhead cam engine, which the Civic has a single overhead cam.
Why is this better?
Well, because what you want to do is get the fuel and air mixture in as fast as you can and get it out as fast as you can, and that gives you your horsepower.
Okay.
This has 120 horse, where the Civic has 106.
Now, it's obviously a compact car. How much room is it on the inside? Do you feel sort of boxed in when you're there?
Actually, you don't. I'm about 6'1". I can get in to where I can drive it and get in the back seat and have plenty of leg room.
The Toyota Corolla, named the most trusted car in the world. Advanced safety features include dual front airbags, new optional front seat side bags, and anti-lock brakes. Dual overhead cam 16-valve engine delivers 120 horsepower and better fuel economy.
What makes Toyota's service so much better? Next up, On the Inside goes to the rack.
Well, we're on our way into Santa Barbara right now. Uncrowded beaches, beautiful scenic trails, movie stars, the jewel of the Gold Coast. But we're not interested in any of that. Oh no, we're here to uncover the facts, specifically about Toyota's minivan, the Sienna.
Years ago when they made the van, it was just basically a cargo van. And Toyota did a lot of research and built it as a safe vehicle. Safety was more important for families.
Okay, well, you mentioned families, so let's take it from that perspective. If I've got a wife and a couple of kids, safety is going to be important to me. What is it about this van that you can show me that really drives that point home?
I would say the safety structures in the front of the vehicle. You have your crumble zones, you have your polyurethane bumper protection in front, and also they put a softer substance in the front of the vehicle that cushions the blow of the impact, which will do less harm for your passengers inside.
This is kind of another surprise for me, Ricardo. I would assume that the earlier minivans didn't come with things like leather interiors.
That's correct. They really improved them, and also this model here has the captain chairs in the middle, and they also can lift out and make the whole vehicle into a cargo van within about 2 minutes.
Let's do some more comparing and contrasting because I'm trying to put myself in the place of your buyer. I'm going to look at the Dodge Caravan. I'm going to look at Ford. You know, I'm going to look at all of them. Make this simple for me. Why the Sienna?
Well, one thing you want to look at is the safety. Think about your family. Also the reliability, and also the warranty. Toyota has a very outstanding warranty. 5 years, 60,000 miles. Also, later down the road, resale value.
What questions should you be asking about the van that you purchase? Hopefully some of the ones that I asked. But it seems to me in this case, competitively speaking, all of the vans start at around the same price. So here's a situation where you can have a Toyota, you don't have to pay any more at all, and you can ask yourself questions like, what is this van going to look like 3 years down the road? Chances are, it's going to look a lot like that one.
The Toyota Sienna 7-passenger minivan. Side door impact beams, dual front airbags, and 4-wheel ABS. 194 horsepower 24-valve V6 engine. Middle seats and rear seat are removable. Toyota Sienna. Comfortable, versatile, and above all, safe.
This is a Sienna, the minivan.
Yes, it is. My husband was convinced that he wanted a sports utility vehicle.
Right.
So I said, fine, if that's what you need to look at. So he went and test drove everything, and then I went out and test drove them, and I said no. And then we went and looked at every van, and we got on the internet, and we looked and looked and looked, and he said, you know, I think we're going to have to wait for the Sienna. We just were convinced. We have a baby now. We were convinced we wanted a van, so we decided to look at it, and we are so happy.
All right, let's just say that your Toyota needs some repair work. So you bring it in, you drop it off at parts and service, then what do? You cross your fingers, you hope, you pray. What happens next?
Well, first of all, we have factory-trained technicians. They go to Toyota schools regularly to keep up their certification. They work on nothing but Toyotas all day long, every day. These guys know Toyotas inside and out.
If I take my Toyota to another garage, I can, in many cases, save money in the cost of the repair?
Well, first of all, you want to really compare prices accurately. You'll find that our prices are the same, if not in some cases a little bit lower than most independents in town. We've shopped on the phone. Not only that, you really want to keep in mind too, when you bring your car here for service or a repair, it's warranted at any Toyota dealership in the country, and that's peace of mind. If you're out of town and you have a breakdown or a failure, you want to be able to get it fixed there. You don't want to have to bring it back and hope that the people that fixed it are going to stand behind it.
What's the difference between service and a repair?
Service we refer to as just the general maintenance of the vehicle, preventative, the things that you do to prevent a problem from happening. A repair is something where you're fixing something that's actually broken, or in some cases, something that is starting to make noise and is going to break.
So the moral of all this then is fix it once?
Fix it right.
Used Toyotas, how are they different? And what makes a used car Toyota certified? We'll find out next on The Inside.
Still headed south on the 101, just south of Ventura, in fact. Coming up on the Johnson Drive exit, on our way to Ventura Toyota, right over there in the Ventura Auto Center.
Here at Ventura Toyota, we're going to get the complete rundown on this Camry we've been driving.
With Toyota, it's the engineering that goes into the vehicle, the amount of money that Toyota spends on their research and development. So when you look at the car and you look at the things that make a fine driving car and the finish work that goes into the car, that's what matters with Toyota, and it sets itself above the competition that way.
I don't think any car manufacturer would willingly put together something that's not safe. It's just a question of where you put that in the priority of things. Where does Honda put it?
I think Honda probably tries to build the safest car they can. Definitely, I think most of the manufacturers are doing that. But with Toyota, you'll see differences. We had a Honda here for a couple days when they first came out, and you don't see things like these hooks right here on the Honda. These little hooks, they hook into the hood right here. Right. It keeps the hood from coming back through the windshield in the event of collision. I didn't see that on the Honda. I know Honda probably has crumple zones like Toyota that, you know, if you're in a collision, the car crumples. Toyota also has breakaway engine mounts where the engine drops down, the steering column collapses, you're protected by the 3-point safety belt system. The seats are mounted in steel frames, and there's a double airbag system that comes out. Toyota also offers a side impact airbag option that Honda doesn't offer.
There's one thing that I haven't seen in this car, and that's the trunk. If you don't mind, I'm going to give that a little pop right now, because if I got a family, I got luggage.
Toyota figured out with their engineering to make this a 90-degree angle so it's easy to load your packages in and out.
Okay.
Also, they lowered this sill down, and notice how cleanly this is manufactured. So it's a real clean opening here when you're sliding your packages in and out. It doesn't, you know, scuff them up and things like that. Another thing to notice with Toyota...
You guys don't have one of those tiny little donut tires here, do you?
We sure don't. Toyota's got a full-size spare. Something that Honda doesn't offer. Honda just gives you a temporary spare on their Honda Accord. If you get a flat tire, you can't go over 50. Also, something that Honda doesn't offer is the split fold-down bench seat, which is real important.
Oh, I see. You pop this up, Oh, and suddenly you seat 3 and you've got extra room for storage, and you can put them both down too?
Mm-hmm. You can take them both down, then you have a lot of room. With Toyota, it's an overall concept of having a vehicle that performs very, very well for the owner. So when you're driving a Toyota, the common comment is that you really don't have to think about the car. The car kind of works for you.
The Toyota Camry, America's #1 selling car. Reinforced passenger compartment with steel side impact beams, standard ABS and impact absorbing steering wheel. Available with either a 4-cylinder or V6, the Camry's powertrains are responsive and economical.
Buying a new car is nerve-wracking enough. How about buying a used car?
We feel that the best new cars makes the best used cars.
What makes a certified car certifiable? What do you do to make it as good as you say?
It has to be one of our newer cars. It has to have low miles. It has to be within 3 years old. And it also has to pass a 128 checkpoint inspection.
Like what, for instance?
It's basically every single thing on the car. 128 things, that's all the, the tires, the brakes, the frame of the car, just the interior. Everything has to be perfect. They're basically like brand new cars almost by, after we've inspected them. If they're not perfect, then they don't become our certified used car.
I don't know who owned this car. I don't know if it's been in a wreck. I know it passed your inspection, and that's nice, but how do I know it wasn't even a rental?
It's very hard to find a used Toyota. I don't know if you know that, but most people, when they buy a Toyota, they keep it for like 100,000 miles. One of the ways we're able to get newer Toyotas to sell to people is that we do buy rentals. Those cars are inspected from the rental companies regularly, much more so than we as the public would do ourselves. Because Toyota backs it, let me tell you what they're going to do. They're going to give you a 24-hour roadside assistance program for 1 year. They're also going to give you a 6-year from the date of purchase, 100,000-mile warranty on that car.
How do we know, for instance, that a car hasn't been in an accident?
Well, before we even buy a car, or if we take it in on trade, we do run a computer check with the DMV to find out what the history of that car is.
The key is to get information. And how much information can you have if you buy a used car from somebody out of the paper? Not much. But if you buy a used Toyota from a Toyota dealer, what you're really getting is a certified used car. A car that's passed a 128-point inspection process. Esther, this is your Toyota truck.
Yes.
Do you know how many miles you have on that?
About 200 and...
Stay right here, I'll tell you exactly.
Go
Hang on a
ahead.
second. 823,000 miles on there.
Wow.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's turned over a few times.
Yeah.
So why do you like it?
Because it's reliable.
Yeah? Well, maybe we'll track you down in another year or so when you have a couple million miles on it.
Okay.
All right. Well, this is it, the end of the line. We are nearly at our final destination, the Toyota dealership in Oxnard, the southernmost dealership of the Gold Coast Toyota dealers. What's left? Sport utility vehicles, and they seem to be everywhere. Let's take a look at Toyotas.
The 4Runner is one of the most reliable vehicles on the market. Also, it's got one of the best resale value in the market. And that's not just coming from me because I work for Toyota, but if you look in all the independent car magazines, such as Consumer Reports, Car Digest, JD and Power Associates, they'll let you know the same information.
Is this an engine that I've got to worry about?
Oh, no, not at all. Toyotas, I mean, they're very reliable, which we all know that already. They're self-adjusting valves, which you don't have to worry about that. That keeps the maintenance down. To tune the vehicle, it's every 60,000 miles, so it's very low.
Seems like everybody wants a truck until they get behind the wheel. Then they want something that rides like a car. Does a 4Runner deliver?
Oh yes, most definitely. Where it delivers is the power steering. It's got rack and pinion steering, which gives you more control and stability while you're driving the vehicle. It gives you more of a car-like feeling.
So there's plenty of room in the back. Now the back seats themselves, they fold down too?
Correct.
Show me how that works.
Sure. Now what you want to do is pull up on this lever right here down at the bottom.
Right. So
Pull
that
up.
goes in.
Pull up on this lever. Push the button on the side for the headrest. Pull the headrest out. Lay it down flush. Put the headrest back in there.
Just like that.
Yes, and both seats fold down, or it's an optional 50-50 split.
Great, so you've got some options.
Correct.
Let me meet you out back again.
Sure.
Why do I go with Toyota?
Well, aside everything that we've discussed, look at the variety of sport utility vehicles that Toyota has. We have the RAV4, we have the 4Runner, and we have the Land Cruiser.
How many does Ford have?
Well, Ford has two. You got the Explorer and the Expedition.
What about Honda?
Honda only has one, and it's actually made by Isuzu.
Okay, so if options are important, Toyota's a good place to start?
I would say, definitely.
Toyota 4Runner, the most rugged import SUV in its class. 3 inches higher than Ford Explorer. 183 horsepower V6 with up to a 5,000-pound towing capacity. Rack and pinion steering, standard driver and passenger side airbags, and side door impact beams.
So where can you find a Tweety Bird Cup Caddy? Well, right here in the accessories and parts department at the Oxnard dealership. You can find a lot more than that. You got miniature tool kits and vanity license plates and fancy covers for your steering wheels, and you can even get some ice cream if you have a mind to. But what happens if you need to replace a genuine Toyota part? Well, let's find out. How you doing?
Fine, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. This is one of those valve things that controls the idle speed on an old Camry. I need a new one.
Alrighty.
You got one?
Let me check.
All right. We'll time him. In mere minutes. You have it. Huh. Is this a brand new one?
Brand spanking new.
What about parts that everybody makes? You know, say something pretty simple. If something goes in my Camry, should I only replace it with a Toyota part?
If you go to a parts store, they say they have the same thing, but you end up going back 2 or 3 times because it doesn't fit properly, it doesn't plug in properly, things of that nature.
So in the advertisements, when they stress genuine Toyota parts, they're doing it for all the reasons you just mentioned?
That's what your car came with, and that's what it'll leave with.
So you've been driving around in this for, what, 13 years?
Absolutely.
You
No
like
trouble. Love it.
You've never had any trouble?
Never.
Are you telling me the truth, honestly?
Honest.
You've never had one bit of problem with a 13-year-old
Not
Toyota
this.
Camry?
Not this one.
You have 159,000 miles on there.
Yes. Evidently shows. That's what it says.
That's like, I don't know, 20,000 in dog years. I don't know what that means either. Let me ask you this. What do you most like about your Toyota Camry?
There's no trouble. It starts when I want to go, and it just no. It's a car I like.
And it stops when you want to stop.
Right. It does, sure does.
When it comes time, if it's ever time to buy a new car, what will you buy?
No, I'm too old. This is my last car, and this is it. No, I don't want to change anything.
You're sticking with the Toyota?
Absolutely.
Our investigation is complete. The only question that remains is, have we come any closer to understanding why so many of these Toyotas wind up leaving the lot and ending up in our driveways? I think maybe we have. One thing is for sure, we've covered a lot of ground, all the way from San Luis Obispo down into Oxnard. We visited the dealerships here on the Gold Coast, and we've asked a lot of questions. The interesting thing is, in the answers that we've gotten, we've seen some themes, I think. Words like dependability, reliability, customer loyalty, all things I heard from the salesman that I spoke with. But I also heard those terms from some of the customers that we met, people who we just pulled off the highway as we were driving along, driving Toyotas that in many cases had miles in excess of 100,000, sometimes over 150,000 miles. That all bodes pretty well, I think, for Toyota. And we learned something else. We learned that all car companies advertise, they put their best foot forward, but when it comes to an objective view, companies like J.D. Powers have some nice things to say about Toyota. Companies like Consumer Reports and Off-Road Magazine and Car and Driver. Toyota looks pretty good in a lot of people's eyes, it seems. One thing is for certain, I've got to get this Camry back to Toyota. Otherwise, their attitude toward me is liable to take a different turn. For now, I'm Mike Rowe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Inside.